The newest wave of email hacks to cross the nation's capital puts a spotlight on former Secretary of State Colin Powell.
Earlier in July, you may remember, the FBI said it believed Russia was behind the hack of the Democratic National Committee's internal emails, and this was just before the party's convention.
Well, joining us now to talk about what the hack uncovered and the potential political fallout is Mark Leibovich. Okay, Mark, Colin Powell told the anchors from CBS this morning that he plans on endorsing a candidate, but he wants to wait and see the debates first. We know he's a Republican, but these leaked emails show the issue that he has with both candidates. Let's dive into some of these emails. This one about endorsing Hillary Clinton. He says in July, Powell writes, "I would rather not have to vote for her. Although she is a friend I respect, a 70-year person with a long track record, unbridled ambition, greed, not transformational, with a husband still dicking bimbos at home." It's pretty intense there, Mark. Intense language.
Yeah, I would say. It's an interesting email because it sort of goes all over the place. On one hand, he calls her a friend. He says he respects her, but then he seems to, like, he denigrates her, and then she certainly denigrates Bill Clinton. I mean, I don't think Colin Powell has any special privileged information that the rest of us don't. I mean, the mood around these emails today from people I talk to around here is almost a dare, but for the grace of God, go all of us, because this is just basically a private citizen. He's a former public figure. He's a public figure, and all of a sudden, all his emails are out, and there is a sort of dread that this could happen to anyone. But given the substance of what he was saying, I mean, it sort of, his emails basically convey a sentiment that he's obviously not happy with his choice for the presidential campaign, and that doesn't make him any different from a large portion of the electorate. I think obviously his colorful language is noteworthy there, but I think it's probably not that different from what a lot of us would do in our own presumably private email transactions.
And of course, Colin Powell is so guarded with his language. In these emails, he had a lot to say about Donald Trump as well. He called the birther movement, which Donald Trump really encouraged and spearheaded, he called it racist, and said that having Roger Ailes as an advisor would only hurt him with women voters. We're just showing one of those emails. He says that's what 99% of Trump supporters believe in the birther movement, and he says that Ailes may at some point come up on charges, and he also calls some of Donald Trump's language schizo. Based on what he said in these emails, do you think there's more damage for Colin Powell or Donald Trump?
Well, look, I mean, Colin Powell is embarrassed. I mean, this would be embarrassing for anyone. Colin Powell's not running for anything. Colin Powell's been out of public life, or at least, he hasn't been in an administration for many, many years. He's in his 70s. I mean, he's sort of living out the twilight of what's been a very distinguished career. This wouldn't be fun for anyone. My sense is he's talking privately the way a lot of people would talk privately about these, these candidates, their families, and so forth. Again, I've seen no indication that he has any privileged information here that he's sharing. I just think that it's a guy on email who's spouting off like I think a lot of us have.
If this were a House of Cards episode, we would find out that it was Colin Powell behind the emails, but this is not a House of Cards episode.
It's becoming more and more like one every day.
It sure does feel like it. But do we know, can you take us back though, Mark, do we know who was behind and what their intention was? Because you can tell so much in Washington about leaks and what their intentions might have been.
Yeah, I mean, look, this comes from a hack. I mean, this is not your basic leak where someone is slipping a memo or an email to a reporter and so forth. I mean, this is part of a pattern, unfortunately, of a lot of hacked emails coming out. The biggest example so far over the summer was the DNC hack. A lot of speculation that it's coming from Russia. Nothing definitive, but you certainly hear that over and over again. The site that these are available on has been linked to the Russian, hacking network. So, I mean, that's, it's guesswork at this point, but it's certainly something that's come up a lot and a lot of people are suspecting.
What do you expect Colin Powell to say about this, if anything? I'm just wondering if for some, and in some ways, this is endearing to people, and to finally hear him in such an unguarded way might actually benefit him at all. I mean, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, look, Colin Powell is not up for a job. He's not running for anything. So, I mean, again, he's not in a very aspirational moment of his career. Again, he's speaking, I think, in a fairly honest vein, in a way that a lot of people would talk about these candidates. And what he's said so far is basically not to comment on this, but also to confirm that, in fact, this is his email, and he obviously added no daylight on to how this might have happened, why it might have happened, and also any backstory to what he was saying. But no, I mean, as far as Colin Powell's career, I mean, I think this will obviously be he would hope a footnote, but it's obviously going to be embarrassing for a couple of days, and hopefully for a lot of people that this is not something that keeps happening to people of public repute over the years, and this won't become a pattern. Fun as it is to read, it's certainly very troubling also.
So what's the bottom line here, Mark? What impact is this going to have on the trail?
Probably, I mean, I would say on the race itself, I mean, Colin Powell's obviously a very respected figure. His endorsement of President Obama in 2008 was a very, very big moment. He served, he served in Republican administrations, as you mentioned. He is a Republican. His decorated military record is really unquestioned. So, I mean, in that sense, I mean, he does have a weight of a great reputation. I think he did sort of give equally to both parties here. I mean, I don't think he. I think both, if you sort of look at what he said about either Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump in isolation, both could be damning, but I think that he did perpetuate a lot of what is seen to be sort of the worst qualities of both of these candidates.
If anything, he's shown himself to be much like the American public in being very disappointed with his presidential nominee options at this stage. Mark
Exactly.
Leibovich, great to get your insight on this today. Thanks for joining us.
Great to be here. Thanks, guys.